This is Lisa Kent. I am judging item number 3 for the TKGA Knitting Judge Program. Here's a cardigan, and we will start with overall appearance. The overall appearance of this cardigan is very nice. It's mainly a solid color with some texture at the top and the bottom, and it's a very pleasing design. Nice buttons add to the overall appearance. I would give the overall appearance 10 out of 10. Then the next category is clean, neat, and no pills. I do not see any pilling at all on this sweater. You can kind of tend to see it where it rubs against each other in the underarm and the sleeve and the side, and I'm not seeing any pills at all. This is a more robust yarn, and I think it would stand up to wear better, so that's consistent with not seeing any pills here. So there's no dirt, nothing, any issues as far as being clean and neat. I would give it 10 out of 10. Suitability of yarn. This yarn is a little scratchier, a little more robust, not a super soft yarn, and I think it's a really good choice for a cardigan because it will hold up well. As I mentioned, there's going to be very little pilling. With a cardigan, you usually wear something underneath it, a turtleneck or another shirt, so you won't have the rougher yarn right next to your skin. So I think this is a really good choice for a cardigan, and I would give suitability of yarn 10 out of 10. Construction, I would say that there's an issue with the construction of the buttons. I was noticing that the buttons are just attached to the knitting itself. I tend to put a small button on the back to attach the button to, so it doesn't yank on the stitching itself of your beautiful knitted sweater, and it doesn't distort the stitches when you do have a button on the back. So that's one suggestion for improvement that I would make as far as construction, is to go ahead and put a small button on the back every place you have a button to help keep the sweater from distorting and help keep the buttons on better. As far as other construction, it looks like the sleeves are knit in the round, so there's no need to seam the sleeves. The only seams I see are at the armholes and at the shoulders. It's knit in one piece from the armhole down, so there's no side seams. This is a very well constructed cardigan. There's no issues with the sleeves being attached. That looks good. It's knit at a dense enough gauge, and the yarn is robust, but I don't think you need the extra stability of a side seam or a sleeve seam, so I think that works out just fine for this kind of yarn and this kind of sweater. So the shoulder seaming looks very nice, not a problem there. I would say, so for construction, I would give it 9 out of 10 just because of the button issue. And just one small suggestion with the buttons. And the next category is even stitches, and I didn't see any trouble with the gauge changing, and it looks like it's the sleeves and the body of the cardigan are all knit at a very even, consistent gauge. We have the sleeve here looks very similar to the body, and it's not any kind of uneven stitches at all that I see. So as far as even stitches, 10 out of 10. Color harmony, this is a very beautiful purple color with some very slight variegation with a little bit of gray and maybe some beige mixed in. overall, it's a very pleasing color for a cardigan, and the color of the yarn does not detract from the textured stitches at the top and the bottom. Sometimes when you get too busy of a yarn, you can't actually see any of the texture because it gets lost in the color changes of the yarn. That's not a problem at all with this sweater. It shows off the textured stitches very beautifully and is very appropriate for this kind of design. So for color harmony, 10 out of 10. Finishing and blocking, it looks like it's nice and smooth and blocked, but I did see one problem when I line up the button band here. The top button with the buttonhole, and then as we smooth it out and work our way down, as you can see, the buttonhole is a little mismatched from the button at the bottom. So maybe some blocking would help with stretching out that buttonhole band and making it more even with the location of the buttons on the other side. So for finishing and blocking, I would give that 9 out of 10. Ends hidden and secured. I do see one end woven in here that makes kind of a ridge. Sometimes you can actually see that ridge on the other side. You can a little bit here, not too bad, but my suggestion is to maybe weave in that end at more of a 45-degree angle, going zigzagging across, so you don't have this solid line going across there. And then I saw another issue on this armhole here where the end was woven in here, and I might suggest actually moving that yarn over to the seam itself and weaving it in at the seam to hide it even better. So that might be, since it's so close there, it wouldn't be a problem at all to just jump on over to the seam and weave it in at that point instead. So for ends secured and hidden, there aren't any yarn tails hanging out anywhere, which is very good. All the ends are secured and hidden. But for a couple of those things, I would go ahead and give that 9 out of 10 for ends secured and hidden. Symmetric and equal. Again, the button band is not quite equal with each other, so that's one slight issue there. Now let's look at the sleeve lengths here to see how consistent they are. If we line up at the shoulder and then work our way down, it looks like the sleeves are very, very similar in length. Excellent job with consistent gauge. No problem I see at all with the sleeves being different lengths. They look very, very good, very similar to each other. So symmetric and equal, I would give 9 out of 10 due to the button band issue. Design complexity, this is mostly stockinette, but there is some interesting detail with the feather and fan at the bottom, the lace stitch at the collar, and then the feather and fan at the wrists. So that does add some complexity to it, and it's not a super complex design all over the entire cardigan, which is fine, but for this I would give it a 9 out of 10 for design complexity. There's no note on here that it's an original design, so no bonus points for original design.